Hi, and welcome to The Powers in You. Today I have a super special guest. I'm so excited. Her name is Hollister Rand. She's an internationally renowned medium and author and speaker. I've seen her several times. I just got done reading her book and it is amazing. It's like a page turner. You just want to keep reading and reading. So anyhow, I want to introduce you to Hollister Rand, and there she is.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm fine. I have two little puppies in my lap, so
Now,
we're good to go.
you told me about one of those puppies who they're rescues, right? And one of them is a little bit aggressive. How is he or she doing?
Yes, she's actually in another room right now, so she's having her time out, you know, yeah, because she could be a little disruptive here.
So everything's good. I know you had a couple engagements over the past couple of weeks. How did those go?
Well, I'm really loving how Zoom is keeping us all connected. I'm used to traveling all over the world to do my work. And now I can sit on my sofa and connect around the world. So there's just something that's beautiful about that, because when I work with spirit, it's connecting in at the frequency of divine love. And so the messages are hopeful and helpful. So even in the most difficult times in which we find ourselves, the spirits always direct me to a place of where is the benefit? Where can we bring people together? Where can messages heal hearts? And so I'm finding being able to reach people around the world in such an easy way is so exciting. I had a small family group on Zoom the other day, and the woman, the mother of the family, had seen me in person. And she was a little afraid to do a Zoom thing with the family. She said, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to feel you. Because when I'm in the room with you, I feel you. I feel your energy. She said, but I feel your energy coming right through the computer. I said, that is the way the spirits work with energy. So we are not separated. The spirits join us together.
Right. And have you, in the current time that we are in, environmentally, politically, everything, have you been getting a lot more messages, to give to people?
This is an incredibly busy time. We can understand why. Uh, Thousands of people have died, and their loved ones haven't been able to be with them for one reason or another. And so when my book was released in May, my assistant said to me, this is the worst time to release a book. Because at that point in California, we were pretty much shut down. And I said, this is the best time to release this book, because no time in my memory has the entire world been thinking about life, death, afterlife. And so I feel as though this is now the time to have these conversations and to bring healing to the pain caused by separation.
Right. Environmentally and politically, we're in a really radical climate right now. Have spirits been reaching out to you more so?
Well, this is the perfect time for me to be doing my work. This is the time where people feel uncertainty, tremendous loss across the board. Not only loss of loved ones, but loss of job, loss of normalcy, loss of life, loss of school. There's enough grief to go around. And the spirits address that at the frequency of love with hopeful and helpful messages. So I'm glad to be part of the solution.
Right. And you travel typically when things are, normal, you travel around the world. And so now you're doing it virtually. And you mentioned that you like it virtually because you still can connect to spirit, right?
Well, fortunately, the spirits love technology. And in fact, those are some of the ways that many people first experience loved ones in spirit is a message on the phone, or digital photos acting oddly, or orbs in photographs and things like that. So the spirits are ahead of us when it comes to technology, especially if it's electronic or electric. They're very, very good at manipulating that. So now this is kind of their space and we're in it. Uh, so the energy can move in even through the screen. So when I'm speaking with someone and there's a message and a spirit is present, I will not only see the spirit on the screen with the person, but I will also see the same spirit standing on one side of my computer. So it's kind of like stereo spirits. It's really interesting how they work with me on Zoom. I love it.
You know, what's weird is I am getting a vibrate when you started saying that they love it, I'm getting a vibration on my computer. So somebody's here trying to get, I mean, oh my gosh, and it keeps coming. It's like, zzz, and I look to see on my phone. Typically, you know, you get that vibration on your phone. No, it's on my computer. So I'm like, whoo, yeah. You know, a long time ago, I did this. Remember
Yes, well, that's how it works.
a long time ago, I did that ALS challenge where you pour the ice water on my head, and my husband uh, took a video of it. So that day, I didn't think anything, and I went to get my phone. And you know, I'm a shaman and a Reiki master, and I'm in the woo-woo end of it as well. But I picked up my phone, and on the video, it stopped at a still that showed these entities around me. They were like alien entities. And I'm like, how did it stop at that precise thing? And so when you're telling me that, I'm getting full body chills. I'm like, woo. So yeah, really cool. So tell me give me a little background. When did this all start with you, Hollister? When you were a little girl, or tell us about that?
Well, when I was a child, I thought everybody could see spirits. When you're a kid, you kind of accept the extraordinary as being the ordinary because no one's told you otherwise. So it took me a while to realize that I was the only one in my family who was actually seeing my grandfather after he passed. And people kept explaining to me what death was and that he had gone to be with Jesus. And I couldn't figure that out because my grandfather was at the foot of my bed every night. In my mind, it just didn't make sense. So then I started seeing other people's spirits as well. And shortly after that, I realized, uh-oh, this makes me kind of different. I'm not sure I want to be different. Now, let's remember when this was. I've been working in mediumship professionally for 25, maybe even plus years at this point. So think about when I was a kid, it just wasn't acceptable back then. So I did my best to hide it.
Oh, wow.
Ah, there you are. Now I can see you.
You can see me. So, you know,
Fortunately, I don't need glasses to see. I don't need glasses to see the spirits. They are big and bright enough.
right. Now, this is your new book. And this book is amazing. And you can see I've got like a million. I could go to every chapter and just ask you about every single chapter, but I don't want to give the book away. But this book is so fun to read, and it's just filled with tons of cool information that we don't even know. And you've written many books. How many books have you written?
Well, this is my second published book,
Oh,
but I have written a lot of articles. I have a newsletter every month, which allows people to learn a little bit more about spirit communication and how their own loved ones in spirit might be speaking with them. So I do a lot of writing. I love to write and share information that way.
well, it's amazing. You know, I wanted to talk to you about, I've got everything marked off here, what I wanted to talk to you, but one of the things, so I recently interviewed a transgendered woman, and you wrote this chapter about, have you communicated with transsexual and transgender spirits? Tell me about that. Tell me a little bit about that, what your take is.
One, it's not my take. I can only report what has been presented to me by spirits. So I just want to be clear about that to everybody, that what I write about in the book may change as the spirits provide more information. In fact, even at the end of the book, I say the end. Not really, because there's always an opportunity for more information to come forward as our experience and our consciousness expands. The spirits can show us more things. One of the great challenges to budding mediums, to those who want to move into this work, is how spirits feel. Gender is difficult because a physically female woman can be very strong, and a male entity can be very sensitive. So, one of the challenges always with being a medium is this a sensitive male that I'm feeling, or a strong female? Because characteristics are not necessarily gender based. So that's the first order of business, is to begin to get acclimated to the energy of spirits, and recognizing that if strength comes forward, it doesn't necessarily mean gender.
Right.
So that's a totally separate thing. Now, I mentioned in the book about a young man who came forward, but came forward as a daughter, and the mother was not acknowledging the daughter. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yes. In my take, I do past life regressions, and I understand at a level that we've all been male and female. But according to Akashic records, we have a soul that is more of a male or a female soul that we carry with us, even though we go into, if we have a male soul, we may go into a female body. So that's why I found it interesting. And for people that are transgendered, they don't feel comfortable in their body.
This goes along the lines with what I'm talking about, which is characteristics are not gender. And as a medium, we've had to work with that. And I've had to teach people how to manage that. And so, what was interesting, the story that I shared in the book, was a young man came through as the female he became in this life. But it wasn't until he showed himself as a young man and gave me the birth name that he had, that his mother was willing to acknowledge him.
Wow.
She hadn't come to terms with his gender change, which for him meant that he was now the person he was born to be. And so he was able to manifest himself in a way that honored who he is at his core, but also the son that his mother gave birth to. And in that moment, there was healing.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing that they give you all of this information. Another thing I wanted to talk about is your chapter on do spirits visit those who are dying? And I wanted to tell you about an experience. My son recently passed away in February. And before he passed away, there were a couple instances where he almost passed away, but he didn't. And the first time that happened, he slumped down in a chair, and all of a sudden I felt like 30 spirits around me going, "It's okay, it's not his time yet, but we're here for you, know that." And I didn't realize that that's what happens. So spirits come before the person is passing.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a very important point, especially during these pandemic times when families are not having the opportunity to sit by a bedside as someone is dying. There's this idea that loved ones are dying alone, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And in the book, I share a story of a male as he was dying. A husband and father, as he was dying, kept staring up into the corner of a room. And the wife hoped that Perhaps his beloved mother was there to help him move through the dying experience. Well, from spirit, that's exactly what he told me. And it was so profound that the paint on the wall and ceiling changed color, affected by the energy of this beloved mother in spirit waiting for her son, helping him move through the dying experience. So please know, no one dies alone.
Wow. And I have to tell you one more experience, and I won't hog your knowledge, but when Brandon was in hospice, he was in this room and he would go in and out of consciousness. And at one point, he's like, over there, and he's pointing, and it was the floor, and he goes, Penny, Penny. And he was insistent upon it. So we came in, we're looking for a penny. I asked my daughter, no penny. So I went out and got a penny to pretend I found it. And so, and I go, is this Penny? And he goes, yes, Penny. And he held it to him. Then that was the last. There was no penny there. After he passed, I was clearing things out of his room, and there was the penny that wasn't there before. What does that mean? What does that?
Well, there's the thought of pennies from heaven. Well, it's interesting. It's often a sign from spirit, which is the weirdest thing to me, a medium, because the spirits do not have money in the afterlife. So there is no coin of the realm, so to speak, in the afterlife. They know about abundance and all of that, but there is something about the metal of the coins, this idea of, we will let you know that we are around, that we are supporting you, that you are taken care of. And I have been suggesting to the spirits that they take inflation into account and start leaving us quarters and silver dollars, because I think that that would be most helpful. But one day I was in my car, opened my car door, and out onto the street, a bunch of pennies fell. Brand new, bright copper colored pennies. And I thought, what on earth? And that's one of the signs that a coin has come from spirit, or it's a hello, is no matter when it was minted, it will be shiny like it was minted yesterday.
And you have a chapter about that, about what they, all the different things that they leave in the chimes. And I don't know where that is, but you wrote a chapter about that.
The spirits are very creative and very loving. And they try to figure out, what can we manipulate? How can we get someone's attention? So the first thing I want everyone to know is, don't worry. You're not going to miss a message from the people you love in spirit. It's just not going to happen. They will annoy you until you notice. One client whose garage door kept opening and closing at really weird times, just like up, down, up, down. He had to get an electrician in, was, what is wrong with the door? And then all of a sudden he realized, that was the last thing Dad helped me do around the house, was to put in that garage door. And shortly after, Dad died. And so Dad was reminding him, hey, son, look, we put in this garage door together, and I'm waving it like my hand. Hello, how are you? So, you know, the spirits are very, very creative. And there are signatures that they have as well. A favorite perfume, or even cigarette smoke. Here in California, it's hard to smell cigarette smoke because people just aren't allowed to smoke like they used to. So if you're smelling cigarette smoke and no one is around, chances are it's a spirit. And it might have been an annoying smell when they were alive. Or maybe you were trying to get them to quit, perhaps. But they're coming to you with the very thing that you had discussions about.
Wow. And, you know, you wrote this chapter on what the spirit, can the spirit leave the body before it actually dies? And as with my son, about a month or 2 months before he started to pass, I felt his true spirit, not who he was as this physical being, but there was a point when he was helping me do something and he just put his hands around me. And I recognized this person who I had known not as my son, but as many other, beings in different lives. So that's interesting about that. The body, when it's getting close to death, tell me what they have shown you about that.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite concepts and one of the favorite things that I have learned. And the reason is it spares us so much pain around what we tell ourselves about someone's passing experience. So, my first book, I'm Not Dead, I'm Different. Kids in Spirit teach us about living a better life on earth. The kids in spirit were telling me this all the time. The car crashed and I was already out of my body before my head hit the tree, before I was thrown out of the car. So the kids in spirit needed to make it clear that they did not suffer in the ways we were imagining they had. There was one young man in spirit who said, I saw the light, then I saw the light. And I thought, what a weird thing to say. But I gave it just as he said it. And his mother said, yes, that's what happened. He was on his skateboard and he hit a light pole and died. So he literally saw the light and then saw the light. He gave me no pain, terror. Oh my goodness. I mean, it was fast. He was free. So that's the thing. There at the moment of death, and even before death, there is a grace, there is a freedom. The spirit is free, and then the body will have to do what bodies do to try to stay alive. So it might look like someone is struggling to breathe. Please know the spirit isn't struggling to breathe. The body is. The body is doing its job, which is to stay here, to give an anchor and a place of expression for the spirit. But know that your loved ones in spirit are okay in the dying process, no matter how terrifying it might seem to us.
I read somewhere a long time ago that no matter how you pass at the point of leaving the body, that like 1,000 scorpions could bite you and you'll feel the pain for like a second and then you're gone. And I had an out of body experience in a boating accident. I felt pain for a second and then I was gone. I was out. So I think that's comforting for people to know that they're not suffering, just like what you said. So that's perfect. Thank you so much, Hollister, for your interview today. You're amazing, spellbinding. It was a pleasure having you on my show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's just been great talking with you.